The River Laune enters the sea on the west coast of Kerry between the Dingle Peninsula to the north and the Evora Peninsula to the south. Some 3 miles upstream nestles peacefully the ancient town of Killorglin, the capital of mid-Kerry. Killorglin has a population of 1,300 people. It is a modern-day town with a number of thriving industries, new housing estates and a growing population. But the inner part of the town has lost nothing of its older character. The hilly streets are an attractive feature. The varied, colourful shop fronts in classical pilastered style are a fine example of the skill of craftsmen and tradesmen of another age. These are the friendly streets that play host each year to the thousands who come from far and near to celebrate the renowned festival of Puck Fair. Below the town on the northern side, the River Laune flows westwards to the sea. It's a river rich in trout and salmon. It originates some 7 miles to the east in the beautiful lower lake of Killarney, beneath the McGillicuddy Reeks. It flows through Fossa and Beaufort, and it is over 100 yards wide here, as it flows majestically beneath Killorglin Bridge. This fine limestone bridge, with its 8 arches, was built in 1885, providing an important link between North and South Kerry. Above the bridge, high on the hill overlooking the town and dominating the skyline, stands the Catholic Parish Church of St. James. It is the 11th of September 1988. And today the church is en fete as the parishioners gather in to celebrate the 100th birthday of their beloved parish church. The work of preparation for this day began almost 1 year ago. Every parishioner was invited to be involved. A special Centenary committee included representatives from every organisation in the parish. Regular meetings were needed to plan each detail and to monitor progress. And with each passing week, the atmosphere of anticipation and excitement grew among young and old. This majestic Church of St. James was built in 1988 to replace a humbler structure regarded as one of the most dilapidated churches in the Kerry diocese of its day. Today is a solemn occasion marked with the full ceremonials of church and state. The planning and organising for this celebration was masterminded by Killorglin's energetic parish priest, Canon Matt Keane, and his 2 curates, Fathers Pat McCarthy and Tom Lean. Canon Keane was there to welcome Bishop Diarmuid O'Sullivan, who came to preside at the solemn centenary mass. 8 bishops have reigned in Kerry since Bishop Higgins blessed the foundation stone of St. James on the 6th of September, 1888.
My brothers and sisters of Christ, I won't stretch my hands towards heaven in the presence of this assembly, as Solomon did, because I'm not as good as praying as he was. But like Solomon, I do ask God to hear the entreaty of his people as you pray in this place. In 1884, Father Tom Lawler, native of Parish, came here from Valentia Island as parish priest. He was a talented man, a man of energy and vigor, dedicated to the spiritual and material betterment of the people. And his good work here in Killorglin has not been forgotten. It lives in the oral tradition of the parish and of the diocese, and it has been thoroughly researched from written sources. You will find much about him in the history of Killorglin Parish, which has been prepared by Kieran Foley, and it's a very happy coincidence that that history is published in conjunction with this centenary celebration. I congratulate Kieran, and I hope that his history will be widely read in the parish and beyond. That sounds like a commercial, doesn't it? But it's really intended to spare you from having to listen to me for too long now. So I'll give you only a very brief and very inadequate summary of Father Lawler's work. He was active in the Home Rule and land reform movements, but he was very much opposed to violence. His first concern was the spiritual enrichment of the people. He promoted popular devotions, and he spent very long hours hearing confessions. Not because the people then were bigger sinners than we are, but because they call sin by its proper name, something that we are reluctant to do. Father Lawler organized a competition for the design of this church, and was won by a Dublin architect named Walter Doolan. It was entirely beyond the generosity of the people of this parish at the end of the last century to fund the building of this splendid church without help from outside. To supplement the local effort, Father Lawler collected money throughout the diocese, and he and other priests went to America, where they got very generous support, especially from immigrants from this area. On the 6th of September 1888, the foundation stone of this church was laid by Bishop Higgins. The people who, in lean and impoverished times, undertook the building of churches as splendid as St. James's, they were people of strong faith and large vision, and they were not wanting in courage and generosity. And in their descendants there remains a rich inheritance born of them. In celebrating this centenary, it is important to remind ourselves that this noble building is not just beautiful stone and wood and glass brought together in an artistic ensemble. It is the symbol of a human flesh and blood reality. It is a sign of the truth which we heard in the second reading a while ago, that you are God's temple and that the Spirit of God is living among you. St. Peter expresses that same truth in much the same way. He says, you are living stones set close to Christ, being built up into a spiritual house. And when you have a lot of living stones set close to Christ and growing into one holy temple in the Lord, then you have what St. Paul calls a house where God lives. then you have a Christian community, a parish where the love and the care and the concern of Christ are obvious and available to young and old, to handicapped and healthy, to poor and rich, to those with work and those with no work, to families and individuals under stress because of immigration, sickness, bereavement, or whatever.
The living stones that form the Christian community of Killorglin today are privileged to live out their lives in one of the most picturesque parishes in Kerry. Almost everywhere one goes, there is a view of the towering McGillicuddy Reeks. The beautiful Carroll Lake separates Killorglin Parish from that of Glenbeigh. This lake is a fisherman's paradise, attracting visitors each year from many lands. In former times, the landed English gentry came here to their well-secluded great houses. Today, the many Europeans who have come and settled here have given this lovely place an international presence. On the western side, the parish extends to the sea, some 5 miles west of Killorglin town at Cromane, where there is a thriving fishing village. At Cromane, too, is the second church in the Killorglin parish, the Church of the Star of the Sea. It was built hastily in 1869 by Father James Carney. It proved inadequate, and in 1913, major renovations were carried out by Father Tom Lawler. Further south, the golf links at Dukes, a fine 18-hole course, founded in 1889 and embracing in all 100 acres. Curiously, Dukes is also the home of the natterjack toad, a very rare and protected species. Not surprisingly, the celebrated toad serves as the golf club emblem. Killorglin land is farming land. In the mountain areas and scrubby uplands, sheep farming is the more common feature. The small, hardy mountain sheep provide the industrious farmer with a hard-earned but adequate livelihood. Sheep fairs were a familiar feature of the past, held regularly in Killorglin town from August to November. And the occasional farmer still prefers a more mixed approach. Farming in the main has undergone much change in Killorglin in recent years. Dairy farming is the order of the day in the more fertile grassy areas. But many will still remember past times when land was poor and prices for cattle miserably low. John O'Brien remembers such times.
We got a fairs with cattle and we couldn't sell them. My father sold 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old bullock for £1.27. That's £1 pot, 75 pence. Oh no, £1.25 pence.
£1.25 pence.
That's right. That's right after money.
And what year would that be?
1932.
On the seaboard at Cromane, fishing has been the traditional way of life down through the centuries. Protected by headlands at Inch and Ross Bay from Atlantic storms. Mussel beds abound and mussels are harvested in plenty. In recent years, Cromane must be acknowledged as the mussel capital of the entire country. But in spite of rich mussel beds and of improved farming methods and conditions, the living is hard and emigration is still a sad and real feature of rural life in Killorglin today, as it was 50 years ago. Tim O'Riordan remembers clearly how it was then.
This place was called the Old Bog Road. The Old Bog Road. And I would see people coming in and going off for England or Australia. And then the streets would be nearly wet. People crying. They'd be waving in below at the low part of the bridge saying goodbye to the old dat, as we call it. Tough here.
An important event in Cromane life in past times was the annual regatta. Thanks to the energy and enthusiasm of a bunch of young local oarsmen, the traditional sport of seine boat racing has again been revived in Cromane. In the early 19th century, education was the privilege of the few. In 1831, free primary education was introduced nationwide for children of all religions. But Irish history, poetry, music and the Irish language were not to be taught. Through the industry of Father Lawler, 6 new primary schools were established in Killorglin. 2 of these, Glencotan and Dungiel, were closed in 1974. The 4 remaining schools are today providing all the primary education in the parish. Scolvira, here in Killorglin town, has undergone extensive renovations in recent years. Laune School is situated in the picturesque district of Cara Lake. It too has been recently refurbished. A feature of school life here are nature walks for the children. They are taken to the nearby woods to observe and learn something of the flora and fauna of their native place. The children are encouraged to explore for themselves, and in this beautiful spot there is no shortage of material. And the teacher is always at hand to discuss and evaluate the findings at the end of the day. Here at Cromane, the school is a new building. It was opened in 1987. Children will be children in the playground. Here at Cromane, they are equally good at play acting indoors, and the teachers encourage this.
The witch.
What does the witch look like? Jonathan, tell us what the witch looks like.
She has a big nose and black teeth and raggy clothes and hair like snakes.
And does she walk straight?
No, bending her back. Once on a night as black as pitch, Isabel met a wicked old witch. The witch's face was cross and wrinkled. The witch's gums with teeth were sprinkled.
Ho, Isabel!
The old witch crowed.
I'll turn you into an ugly toad.
Isabel, Isabel didn't worry. Isabel didn't scream or scurry. She showed no rage and she showed no rancor, but she turned the witch into milk and drank her.
Douglas National School is the oldest school building in the parish. It was built in 1886. 100 or so pupils attend here at Douglas. But soon there will be a new school here too. The plans for this are already at an advanced stage, and the playing field here is the site for the proposed new building. In all, 730 children attend primary school in Killorglin Parish today. In a few short years, they will have scattered, some to stay at home, some to travel to the far corners of the world. What will be their memories of happy school-going days? 80-year-old Mary Casey has her memories.
I went to school, to Douglas School, and Mrs. Coffey and Mrs. O'Connell from Killorglin was teaching there at that time. She was travelled from Cromane, in the pony and trap like they lived up at Cromane. She was hard enough indeed. They wished to carry 2 sods of turf to school for the fire. We used to travel to school without any shoes in us in the morning. Our parents and all were poor that time indeed. Everyone was poor, everyone was poor. But no one died of the hunger at the same time.
There are 2 second-level schools in Killorglin. The community college here is just 7 years old. It replaces an older school established in 1930. Austin O'Reilly is its principal.
The college places a high emphasis on a happy environment for the pupils and their well-being. We have a good and dedicated staff team here who have achieved a lot for the pupils over the years in education and also in the work environment and employment. There is a good atmosphere here which we feel promotes the physical and mental well-being of the children. We have achieved a lot in sport, and we find that our pupils are considerate in caring for others. There's available a wide range of cultural and educational activities which we hope promote the best interest of all the pupils, and we are confident that of continued success in the future. And we take this opportunity to wish the Centenary the very best and hope that the church will remain for many centuries more.
The intermediate school is an impressive new building. It replaces the old Carnegie structure of 1908. Its traditionally classical design makes it an imposing feature on the western end of the town. Its principal is Joe O'Dwyer.
I'm standing here in our library, which is a haven of peace, and already, because people have been generous to us, it's quite well stocked. Moving out from the library, we go to the gym hall, then the language laboratory with all today's equipment of earphones and master systems. Our science rooms are equipped with the most modern facilities in which young people can prepare their experiments and prepare very capably for third-level education. Then the grounds afford the pupils wonderful opportunities to sport themselves. There are 8 acres of grounds. The new school is a mirror, really, of what has been happening in Killorglin with the infrastructure of the town. Many new buildings, such as the library, the fire station, our sister school, the vocational school, have been built in the town. And all of these are indicative of the progress that Killorglin has been making in spite of recessionary times.
It should come as no surprise to find in the heartland of Kerry that Gaelic football is in a healthy state. The recently founded Cromane club has reason to be proud of the football field it has procured and developed. It will be a valuable facility for future generations of its young people. The Laune Rangers Club in Killorglin is a long-established club with a proud tradition. It also celebrates 100 years this year. It traces its roots back to a former rugby club. Its most famous son is J.P. O'Sullivan, to whose memory the playing park at Killorglin is dedicated. The club has produced many a footballer of note, some of whom have won All-Ireland medals with the Kerry team. Other Killorglin athletes to achieve sporting distinction were Jean Mangan, the youngest cyclist to win the Rosthalton in 1955. And today, Frank Conway is carving a name in track racing in the United States and is already among the elite of middle-distance runners in the world.